Kia ora, hello, and welcome to Anyway, the podcast where I unpack the chaos of reality TV. I am your host, Natalie McMurray, coming to you from Aotearoa, New Zealand. Today, we're watching Jo Ellen's rise to victory in the Real Housewives of Rhode Island reunion part 1. We're watching all of the ladies arrive in New York and get into glam. Talk of the morning is Rulla's new nose. I actually can't remember what her old nose looked like. Anyway, she looks beautiful, so whatever. Who cares? People should do whatever they want with their faces, right? I don't know. If it makes you feel better, do it. That's probably not great advice. Anyway, Rosie's in a room with Alicia, telling her about the nose job. She says she also thought that Ruler had a facelift. Alicia thinks Brian will be happy because he's basically sleeping with a new woman now. Which, let's face it, is not out of the ordinary for him. So, probably doesn't make much of a difference. Everyone starts to walk out on stage. I have to say, as a collective, these are probably the best reunion looks I've seen. From recent memory, anyway. All of the ladies look really beautiful. Their dresses are stunning. I think my favorite is probably Kelsey's cobalt sequin turtleneck dress. Love that shade of blue. Andy asks Jo Ellen who's watching the kids, and she responds, "Not my mom." Yikes. I guess their relationship has gone downhill. Probably comes as a surprise to nobody. He also asks Ashley if we'll get any tears today. I'm going to say there has probably already been some tears today, Andy. Ashley's basically a water feature at this point. Perhaps she should be down by the bridge at the front of the stage in anticipation of the imminent flood of tears we will likely see. Andy wants to know what's up with Ruler's zhuzhed face, a term I've never heard applied to one's face. She says she got rhinoplasty after wanting it for a long time and a lip lift. Andy now wants to know what it's been like for the ladies to be thrust into the world of Real Housewives. Alicia says she loves it and that it's a dream. She talks about her love of crackers and says, "Who knew a cracker would take off like that?" I love Alicia and I love crackers, but I do have to say they've been pretty big for some time now, Alicia. It's not like people have just discovered crackers. I do appreciate your spotlight on them, though. Andy brings up how close the ladies are, and Liz says she remembers when Alicia was born. Alicia says she was close to Liz's niece, who tried to take her on a horse ride once. And she broke out into hives. I have to say I feel her pain. I went on what felt like a 5-hour horse trek when I was about 12, having no idea that I got extreme hay fever from horses. I honestly don't remember anything we saw on that trek because I spent the whole time sneezing and wiping away fluid from my eyes and nose with my sleeves because I had no tissues. Yet another traumatic core memory taking up space in my brain. Anyway, we're talking about the drama between Rosie and Kelsey, who Andy can't tell apart. And even though we watched them say they wanted to move forward what felt like hundreds of times, these bitches are still arguing about a fucking haircut, which Andy finds hard to believe. So do I, to be honest. They discuss Sally the slam pig. Rosie says, "It's just a word that you use when you're pissed off." Kelsey wants to know if she pumps and dumps, which is a defining factor of a slam pig, apparently. I'm not entirely sure what pumps and dumps means in this context. I can only assume it's sexual. The only pump and dump I'm aware of is to do with breast milk. So it's a little jarring to hear it being applied to fucking, to be honest. Anywho, they move on to discussing the affair that Rosie allegedly had with some coach. Apparently he was pulled over and Rosie was in the car, which she denies. Jo Ellen, being the little investigator that she is, says that Rosie's name is in the police report for the DUI this man got at that time, which is pretty damning evidence if her name is in there. Jo Ellen seems confused. She's all, "This man is not cute. He is not attractive." I'm now perplexed. Because what does his physical appearance have to do with whether Rosie had an affair with him or not? She then admits to not even having seen the police report. But speaking to some of the cops that wrote it, Jo Ellen is such a messy bitch. Give this woman a raise. Andy brings up the fact that Ruler has inferred that Liz and Jerry have had infidelity in their relationship. Liz is questioning why she thinks that. Ruler seems to be dancing around the subject. It would appear to me that Ruler is trying to embellish on things that Liz has said about her relationship in the past, to perhaps take the spotlight away from what's happening in her own relationship. I don't really think that Liz is the one you want to fuck with in that way. And Liz is doing a pretty good job of letting her know she will not be her scapegoat. Liz says that the time that Ruler was referring to was when her and Jerry were separated. She was dancing and partying with some guy, and then Ruler and Brian called Jerry to let him know. Ruler denies the phone call, which I'm not even really sure why she would deny it, because she's the one that brought the situation up. She now wants Andy, Bravo, and NBC Productions to subpoena the phone calls, whatever the hell that means. During this argument between Ruler and Liz, Jo Ellen says she's so aggressive. Ruler is like, you better shut your fucking mouth when you're talking to me. It's pretty evident that Ruler is gagging to dig her nails into Jo Ellen. The ladies are all taking stabs in the dark about how many times Ashley has cried over the season. They say 7, which is not really that many. I have to assume there are many scenes left on the cutting room floor of her crying. Ashley talks about how special her relationship with Rosie is. Ding! That takes us to 8 times. She also tells us that Audrey is now draining more life out of both her and her barista husband because he's busier than ever. Andy wants to switch gears. He asks Jo Ellen about having wild time in her 20s. Ruler immediately jumps down Jo Ellen's throat, taunting her about getting in trouble in high school. Jo Ellen says, yeah, duh. I talked about that like a bunch of times during the season. I have to agree with Jo Ellen saying that it's a fucked up thing for Ruler to bring up the fact that she was sent away to a troubled teen school when she knows how traumatic that was for Jo Ellen. Ruler is really grasping at straws through this reunion. Alicia, who knew Jo Ellen in high school, says she wasn't bad and that she was just being a typical teenager. Jo Ellen confirms my suspicions that her and her mother are not on the best of terms. Her mother apparently isn't happy of the way that she was portrayed on the show, I guess. Very much reminding me of Michael's situation in Southern Hospitality. These mothers need to get a grip. Either that or they need to not be on the television show. Like, hello, you're going to be exposed for who you are. Joanne wants to know why Ruler is still on stage when she was only in 3 episodes, which is a great point. They should really have some kind of ratio allocated time for people who barely appear in a season. I can only assume she'll be a friend of next season, or perhaps she won't be on it at all. Her BS is starting to annoy me. They take a 5-minute break. Ruler wants Andy to know that she has records to show that Brian was in surgery when the cheating video was taken. Andy, he could not give less of a fuck. Turns out he's over Ruler's bullshit too. And now Ruler and Jo Ellen are fighting again. Liz is just trying to have a vape. Jo Ellen wants Ruler to know that Brian is the queen of AI, which I can believe. He truly does give con man vibes. Anyway, Andy is disassociating for 5 minutes. He walks off the bridge and far, far away, probably to have a shot ski. He's gonna need it. We're back from the break. Andy asks why Liz claimed that Alicia was never homeless. Liz explains that she didn't mean it as a form of denying Alicia's experience, and that she said it to try and protect Alicia and her family from the stigma, I guess. She gives Alicia a sincere apology. Liz thinks that the situation in the car on the way to Boston was manufactured drama by Alicia and Jo Ellen. Alicia thinks she deserves an Academy Award if that's the case, because she had a nervous breakdown. I don't think Alicia's breakdown was manufactured, but I do agree that she deserves an award. Jo Ellen and Liz are going back and forth about voice messages, apparently talking about what was going to take place in the car 3 days prior to it happening. And Ruler keeps throwing jabs at Jo Ellen. She says, "Kiss my ass." To which Jo Ellen responds, "You don't even have an ass. Your skin is falling off." Ruler then says, "At least I don't have to pump Ozempic to look like this," which I guess is meant to be an insult directed at Jo Ellen. But it's also insulting to Rosie, Ruler's supposed good friend, who's sitting right beside her. From my memory, Rosie is the only one that openly talked about being on a GPL1 on the show. Yet another fail for Ruler. Liz wants Jo Ellen to know that being patted and placated for 3 hours doesn't roll with her. Jo Ellen says, "I was just trying to protect you from looking crazy," which is funny. I guess all this bullshit and arguing comes down to friends just trying to protect friends. Andy is like, break time, let's have lunch. Alicia and Jo Ellen are discussing Liz. Jo Ellen says that she was trying to de-escalate the situation between Alicia and Liz. Over in Liz's room, Kelsey wants Liz to make up a sash for Alicia that says not homeless, which doesn't even make any fucking sense because Alicia isn't homeless now. This is all about when she was younger. Hello, Kelsey, are you even aware of what's happening? Saying shit like that just speaks to her terrible sense of humor. Anyway, Rulla's new face is freaking Jo Ellen the fuck out. She would like to know where the hell this new cast member came from. We see the ladies all heading back from lunch. Apparently, there was no lunch to be had for Alicia though, because she needs a cracker. Ashley needs eye drops. I guess those tears aren't streaming as freely today. She needs to lube up her eyes. And Jo Ellen and Liz are straight back into it. Alicia wants to know how this situation went from her being attacked to Liz being the victim and being ambushed. I guess Liz feels like Alicia was going above and beyond to be dramatic, and she says as much. Alicia says, Liz, that's crazy. She says, this is why I called you abusive. Meanwhile, Liz is holding her head and repeating, you're nuts, you're nuts. And now we're having a nutso off. Who's crazier? Are any of them crazy? Are they both insane? Are they all psychopaths? Nope. They all just love to gaslight the fuck out of each other. Alicia shuts the shit down by saying, if it was a setup, it would have been way better television than that. Quite frankly, I found it extremely entertaining. I'm not sure television gets any better. But the reason it was so good was because it was impromptu. Although I am now questioning the intent behind Jo Ellen's big-ass charcuterie board. Did she want Liz to start throwing fancy cheese and cured meats around the car? Who's to say? Andy wants to move forward to the hair touch and the chair push. She says, Liz, would you like to address your actions while Rosie's husband stood up on stage and sang so beautifully? I'm not really sure that's quite how I would describe Rich's singing. But that's neither here nor there. Liz says, I'm tactile defensive, a term I've never heard anyone use. In my world, we call that aggressive, Liz. Liz doesn't think that Alicia has a bad bone in her body, but she does still think that Jo Ellen is the devil. She says she will never apologize to Jo Ellen for what happened at Capo. The thing with that is, we already saw her apologize in the last episode, when they were on that freezing cold beach on Block Island. We find out that Jo Ellen and Liz have been in a fight before about a ski jacket that smelled like cigarettes, which is so fucking ridiculous. I cannot express how much I wish cameras were up during the smoky snowsuit fight. Liz wants to know where the narrative of her and Jo Ellen being best friends came from. Jo Ellen says, we spent Mother's Day together. Liz says, you embody something my soul rejects. She's basically all, the power of Christ compels you. Jo Ellen points out that Liz has narcissistic traits like her mother. Liz wants Jo Ellen to know, I'm not your mother, bitch. Perhaps the confusion came from spending Mother's Day together? I don't know. Andy asks Rosie to explain why she thinks Liz, Jo Ellen, and Kelsey are in a clique. She says they have blind loyalty to each other and they talk shit behind her back. Apparently searching through people's past and bringing up old shit from it is just a Rhode Island thing. I don't know if they know this, but civilian internet sleuths are everywhere. It's a global thing. Rosie then brings up the fact that Jo Ellen has been trolling her online about her show road tripping. Which, to be fair, Andy has been doing most of the reunion too. I'm not really sure why it bothers Rosie so much. Like, you do you, girl. Don't worry about it. Anyway, Jo Ellen is saying it's a misunderstanding, and Rulla says there's always an excuse. And then it all kicks off between Rulla and Jo Ellen yet again. John is all, who is she? Who is she? Rulla says, who am I? Who are you? You're a nobody. You're a slut. That's all you are. To which Jo Ellen responds, your husband's a slut. And with that, Jo Ellen just won the fucking reunion. Congrats, Jo Ellen. Can we give her another 4-foot trophy, please? Not only can this woman paint, but she can read a bitch down. God, I love to see it. Rulla is 100% activated now. Credits are rolling, and she's screaming, you sleep with doctors. I don't know what's bigger, your mouth or what's between your legs. She's a fucking whore. Wow, 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 wow. Rulla. You need to calm the farm. Jo Ellen could not be more correct in the fact that the person we should be slut shaming here is Rulla's gross, sweaty, bloated, cheating ass husband. Anyway, that's it for today. I'll be back later in the week. Thanks for listening. See ya. Wouldn't want to be ya.